YouTube, what the crap's going on? I had a viewer send in this replay where he was going to take on what he thought was kind of an annoying elf army. Let's see what he's up against. Well, there's elves deployed all over the field. We got the Spellsinger of Beast over here. Now that's an interesting pick because Doomflock makes sense. Are they going to try and spawn a... I wonder if they're going to try and spawn a... No, so Curse of Honor. Now that makes sense. So, interesting. So the elves are looking to make the dwarves less accurate and slower. And then you got the Glade Lord. Now this is the lady out here. And the big difference there is that her focus is on missile stuff. So she's got this Prey of Anath Rama that can put nets on them and make them more vulnerable to missiles. And there's the Arrows of Kurnos. A Waystalker, of course, going to be rocking some Arrows of Kurnos. The Clan Angrand army here is already taking some hits. Check it out. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass took a hit. Let's see who they got hit by. I'm not sure what they got hit by. They got hit by something, but it's not listing any kills on anything. So they are going to use Doomflock, but the dwarves do have a magic resistance. So Doomflock is going to be less than ideal, I think, versus the dwarves. It does have some Slayers around for speed, and that's nice because Wild Riders can be a big, fat pain in the butt against the dwarves. He's got his artillery back here in the forest. The only thing is that some of his own shots could get blocked by the trees, technically. 7 kills there. Probably hoping to sit back and use a lot of Arrows of Kurnos. I've seen a lot of elf players who want to do that. Yeah, it's a very long replay. Let's fast forward so we can kind of see how it plays out. Yep, Arrows of Kurnos flying in at the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. More Arrows of Kurnos. Yeah, so an elf player that basically doesn't want to engage and wants to use Arrows of Kurnos endlessly. So I would definitely think some people would say that that's cheesy. But, I mean... it can happen. I don't think there's anything stopping the elves from doing this. You do have the long-range artillery, and I think in this case that bringing a cannon would have helped shut this down because the Glade Lord would have to keep a very respectful distance with the cannon. But I can definitely see, so whenever the dwarf player sent me this, he's saying that he was wanting to rage quit like a few minutes in. Definitely understandable. He's getting picked apart. And like I said, the Arrows of Kurnos are brutal. Absolutely brutal. You can already see there's almost 100 kills on these units. I definitely feel like a cannon is a better spin versus the elves than a grudge thrower, though a grudge thrower can be okay against their infantry, but if an elf player wants to do this where they just hide their infantry and not engage you, then you're going to be pretty much at their mercy. The Glade Lord is taking a considerable amount of damage from Quarrelers and the grudge throwers over time, though. Here you got the Spellsinger popping in. The elf infantry is now going to activate. The Treekin, along with the Wildwood Rangers, against this damaged of a dwarf force is going to be pretty scary. It's Belagar Ironhammer here. He's got a Runesmith with him. No ethereal units, which is a good choice because the a lot of the elves have magical attacks. Doomflock coming in. It's going to darn near finish off. No? No, just the dwarves are very magic resistant, so I don't think Doomflock is a very good use of mana here. But a ton of kills on the Waystalker and the Glade Lord. These Wildwood Rangers, these guys are going to be pretty problematic. They're kind of almost just marching in a column feeling pretty confident in themselves, but if they stay too bunched up, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. Those grudge throwers, you can't underestimate the Gob Lobber. It is very accurate and extremely deadly to infantry. Yeah, this right here, just, oh my gosh. The elves had every advantage in this fight, and then they just lined up in a line and are just feeding kills to the Gob Lobber. That just 79 kills already, and you know it wasn't getting those from the enemy lord. Look at that, just completely flattened a Wildwood Ranger unit. 3 of them. Holy smokes. All that work the elf player did skirmishing and then threw the Wildwood Rangers in a column formation in front of the Gob Lobber. Woo! Yeah. Those Arrows of Kurnos, though, they're still coming in. But it was aimed at a Lord, I think, which, again, I'm not sure it's going to do a whole lot. Here comes the Glade Lord on the Dragon. looking to get a hold of the artillery. The Slayers could turn around and pretty quickly scare this guy off. We'll see what happens. These Slayers really need to come back here. All the armor on the Treekin would make them a less than ideal target, I think, actually, and the fairly low armor Blade Lord would have been an ideal target. And then you've got the Wild Riders over here with shields, which honestly are going to be pretty tough for the dwarfs to take out. The Treekin should eventually fall to the Runesmith and Belagar. I don't think they'll do so well against them. Definitely bad for the dwarfs, though, to just let the Glade Lord get that for free, especially when they have the Slayers nearby. The Slayers will certainly help against the Treekin. They will certainly help. But they're also going to now maybe get hit by these regrouping Wildwood Rangers. Let's see some of this up close. Here comes the Wildwood Rangers. I love those guys. They look awesome. Treekin. Okay, here comes the Wild Riders. Yeah, the Dwarf Artillery is going to get absolutely shut down now. Here comes some vengeful Reindeer Riders. If the Slayers didn't get charged too bad here, oh man, they're getting another one. Yeah, the Slayers are in pretty rough shape. There's one more unit of Slayers right here now, and it ought to stabilize and start putting out a pretty solid beating to the units that are around it, but one of the units of Slayers was pretty trash. Fortunately for the Dwarf player here, the Longbeards are going to be very hard to break. For the Elves, they're a considerably tanky unit. That's too bad, letting that Glade Lord get away with that. I feel like they definitely could have stopped that with some Slayers. Let's see how it plays out here. The Reindeer Cavalry are getting mulched up by the Slayers now. You can see there that's head. You get that? Wood Elf mulch. Did you like that pun? Okay, it wasn't that great. Anyway, this is going to be a pretty tight fight, but I'm pretty sure that the Dwarf Heroes are probably going to tank this out. When you leave a couple of Dwarf Heroes to the end like this and you don't have a great tool for dealing with them, they usually make you pay. He's got his Runesmith too. So I'm personally thinking that the Dwarf player is probably going to turn this around. Look at that Glade Lord really struggling to get rid of 2 units of artillery. Some more Arrows of Kurnos. 154 kills on the Glade Lord. Waystalker's still just sitting back here. I don't know how useful he could be here or not. I think he would get owned pretty quick by the Dwarf Heroes. Yeah, the Treekin just can't take down the Heroes. Longbeards. Where's that other unit of Slayers? Right there, 59 kills for those Slayers. That's a big deal. A lot of those were the Wild Riders, and that's pretty clutch for the Dwarfs here. Yeah, and I don't know if the Wild Riders can make that much of a difference now because most of the Dwarf Infantry's dead. I don't think their charges are going to impact the Dwarf Lords near as much. And although there's a lot of hitting power here for the Elves, the Dwarfs kind of just have the right units to survive this. So as much skirmishing as the Elves did early when they threw their Wildwood Ranger, or whatever they were, Wildwood Rangers in column formation right there, they sealed their own fate. And you can see just still the line of Wildwood Ranger carcasses through the woods here, where they just got completely flattened by the Gob Lobber. Like I said, do not underestimate that Gob Lobber. And if you march your guys up in column formation, it will flatten you, and it'll do so in a big hurry. And remember that it also has impacts on your morale. And you all saw that pretty quick when these Wildwood Rangers just absolutely fell apart at the hands of a very inferior dwarf force. All they had to do was spread those guys out into a big line, and they would have come in here and absolutely mopped the floor with the dwarfs. But yeah, this is definitely going to play out in favor of the dwarfs at this point. The artillery's still alive and can come remount. Well, actually, I don't know if its artillery got destroyed. No, there's definitely still some artillery pieces back here that could be used, but I mean, the dwarf player's not remounting. Maybe he's still got ammo. Yeah, there he goes. There he goes. Okay. Smart play, smart play. Let's see if the elves try and run away. They may try and kite him out because they have this flying lord. Sometimes the player will do that to try and force a draw. Let's see what happens. Which is, in my opinion, extremely dishonorable. If you've already spent that much time skirmishing and then you try and force a draw because you have a flying unit, there we go. The dwarf got a victory, so that was definitely the right way for that to end, in my opinion. Interesting replay. So, like I said, the dwarf player sent me said it, at first he's about to rage quit. And I can see why. That would get frustrating in that position. But I like that he didn't quit. And when he didn't quit, his opponent made a mistake, and he capitalized on that mistake. And his grudge thrower here, this Gob Lobotomy, those 92 kills are not just 92 kills. That is 92 kills of extremely expensive Wildwood Rangers that absolutely shut down the Elf army as a whole. Now, what did the Elf player do right? Well, I think their skirmishing with the Glade Lord and the Waystalker was very effective, as you all saw. The Dwarf army got chewed to bits for the most part before they got into a fight. And the Treekin they don't do real well against armor. They're highly armored themselves, and they're fairly tanky, and with a life spell singer, they can be pretty hard to pull down. But they don't do all that great against armor themselves, I don't think, if I remember right. So the Wildwood Rangers had plenty of armor piercing, and with all that skirmishing and stuff, I could definitely see some of the potential behind this army, but you definitely could not blob up those Wildwood Rangers. That was brutal. I think that was the most brutal bombardments I've ever seen from a Gob Lobber. And then as an elf, how much do you like getting hit in the face with a giant rock with a nasty goblin tied to it? I'm sure they were really enjoying that. Anyway, fun replay to just kind of take a look at least I thought it was. I'll be back with more replays in the future. So I think, again, some of the key lessons here, if you're going to be playing as the dwarves against the elves, be aware they could very well do that. Sit in the forest, shoot the snot out of you with the arrows of Kurnos, and use their long range. That's well within the elves' capability to do. So I would say that when you prepare an army to come against them, if there are forests on the map, be prepared for that. And, like, for instance, what might have been pretty useful there, believe it or not, would be, I think, a gyrocopter unit. They could have harassed the snot out of the Elf Lord. I almost want to say that if you brought the gyrocopters and then maybe some thunderers or some quarrelers, and you kept the gyrocopters at a safe distance from the Elf Lords, you can kind of push forward, use the speed of the gyrocopters to skirmish. It might work. You could use the speed of the gyrocopters. I'm thinking Brimstone Gun. Yeah, probably Brimstone Gun. But a lot of the elf units aren't high armor, so the standard one might work too. You'd have to look at it and just kind of see what your purpose is. But if you skirmished around with the Elf Lord, the Elf Lord on the dragon, you could try and pull them back into the range of your support units, and that would kind of force more engagement. And a cannon or something long range like that also can force an engagement and provide cover to your gyrocopters. So just something to consider. You do have to protect it, and you have to watch out because the elves can be pretty sneaky with the forward deployment as well. So just something to think about. Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you all soon. Yeah, on the next one. What an ending.